Hello everyone, this is Mrs. Nguyen. In this video lecture, I will be talking about your next essay assignment, which is the cause and effect essay, and I will base my discussion of the assignment on chapter 11, which is one of the chapters that you are supposed to read for this module. We are currently working in module 2. All right, and there's also an essay that you are a sample essay that you're also supposed to read in this chapter and answer the questions that immediately follow and post your responses to those questions on the discussion board. Okay, so hopefully you're in the process of doing that, and this week you're supposed to be developing or brainstorming your cause and effect essay, brainstorming for ideas. But before you do that, let us understand what it is that you're supposed to be doing for this essay. Alright, so as you can see here on the screen with me, I am in module 2 of our course. Let me go to the directions for the cause and effect essay. As you can see here, you have both options. You have two options here. Okay, and they're pretty much one and the same, meaning that they're not really different in the in that you get to choose your own topic, but in option 2 you have more criteria in terms of research. I think you do. Yes, you have more criteria in terms of research, so make sure that you read both options. But the gist of it is I try not to tell you all what you have to write on. Okay, you do have some freedom of choice here, but there are certain topics that I am going to prohibit you from choosing, and I'll get to that later on. But let's go to the first option here. Okay. All right, so at this point, okay, you should know, well, if you haven't already, at this point you should know that you have 3 short essays to write in this class, and each of those essays must have a minimum of 500 words. Okay, so 500 words, double space, formatted according to MLA guidelines, come out to be roughly around 2 pages double space. So that's not too bad. If anything, that should be enough to develop a coherent and cohesive and well-supported essay, regardless of what the rhetorical mode of the essay is. Okay, so let me see here. In this essay, you will be choosing a controversial topic, and you are going to explore that controversial topic in one of 2 ways. Okay, as the name of the essay assignment suggests, you will you will be exploring how the topic came to be controversial, right? What caused it to become controversial, or you can explore what are some of the effects of your controversial topic or issue, right? And that's, a very general definition, and we're going to go into details about, how to conceive one or two of those directions. One of those 2 directions, I'm sorry. Okay, let's see here. But first, let us back up and talk about what constitutes a controversial topic. Okay, what makes a topic controversial? And you also see here that I would like for your topic not only to be controversial, but I would also like for it to be, an uncommon controversial topic, meaning that I want your topic to be one that is not that heavily discussed or heavily debated out there. Of course, the easiest or the easiest controversial topics that we can all think of are topics or news stories that are currently dominating the media, right? You only have to Google or go or visit, one of these news publications or online news websites, or just turn on the news and um, and you'll be reminded of what these, mainstream controversial topics are, that people are currently talking about. And it's absolutely fine to be engaged in that kind of discussion and to be interested in, those broad or not, well, not broad, but those, the more common, more mainstream topics um, of the moment. Okay, but I also want you to also consider other less common controversial topics. So don't limit yourself to, what is currently out there. Okay, um, try different avenues of, topic consideration. Try different avenues that, for to come up with, different ideas, fresh ideas, topics that people don't normally think of. Okay, and you can do this in a few ways, and we're gonna talk about the strategies that you can certainly take or use to generate as many original ideas as you can. But let's back up and let's talk about, and let's try to define controversial, right? A controversy, right, or what a controversial topic, is simply a topic or an issue that invites different opinions and different beliefs regarding the issue in question or the topic in question. Okay. What makes it controversial is that there is no, well, first, there's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong way of approaching the issue, or there's no right or wrong way of, thinking about the issue. What makes it controversial is that there's no consensus or no agreement on how the issue should be dealt with or how it should be resolved. And just different ideologies surrounding it. All right, so that's what controversial means at its most basic form, right? So by controversial, we don't mean something that is sensational or scandalous. It just simply means people have different opinions about it. People have different belief systems and different just different ideologies that influence how they approach the topic and how they think about the topic. Okay, and because of all of those things that influence their perception, right, and make them view the issue in different ways, is what caused controversy, is what caused an issue to be controversial. All right. If you look with me on page 161 in your textbook, this is the introduction to chapter 11. In the second paragraph, it says that in a cause and effect essay, the writer develops the thesis through cause and effect reasoning. He or she analyzes and explains the causes, the effects, or both the causes and the effects of a phenomenon. In addition, the writer may use other analytical strategies to clarify a concept and so forth. So what jumps out at me in this second intro paragraph that kind of explains what a cause and effect essay does is the word phenomenon, right? The writer of a cause and effect essay analyzes and explains the causes, the effects, or both the causes and the effects of a phenomenon, right? So what is a phenomenon, right? This is a term that I want us to understand, to define and to understand, because I know that you've all heard this word before, but I'm wondering if you've ever given it any deeper thought than what you think it means. All right, so when we're wrestling with a term that we want to define, first we should probably get a formal definition of the term. So a quick reference that I use, a quick source that I use for definition is, if I'm on a computer, I just go to dictionary.com and I type in phenomenon, and let's see how phenomenon is defined according to this source. Notice that the use of the term phenomenon has somewhat of a different effect on the term controversy from the term controversial topic. Okay, a phenomenon is a fact, an occurrence, or a circumstance observed or observable. A phenomenon is also something that is impressive or extraordinary. Okay, all right. So these are very broad definitions, and by these first two definitions, right, anything can be a phenomenon, right? There are different categories of phenomena. There are natural phenomena such as hurricane, okay, because hurricane is pretty impressive and extraordinary in terms of its destruction. So there are certainly disastrous. So there are certainly natural disasters, right, that can prove to be disastrous to society, okay, to human life. Those are all phenomenon, okay. Those are all phenomena. Or photosynthesis, the process of how plants turn sunlight into food, and that whole thing is a phenomenon because it is a fact, it is observable, it has been observed and is observable, and it's impressive and extraordinary, right? But it can't help being so. That's just the state of its existence, right? So phenomena is anything that falls into one of these two categories. But like I said, they are quite broad. So many things, that is worth observing, worth studying, and anything whose existence, has the ability to amaze us, or to confound our ability to understand it, can be thought of as a phenomenon, right? Certain social phenomenon would be, for me, right, it is phenomenal that Facebook has gotten to be so popular in the few years of its existence. For me, it's phenomenal that social media has become probably the most popular tool of communication, for people out there. So for me, it is a phenomenon. The social media, or the popularity of social media, is a phenomenon to me. And for me, it is something that is worth observing, worth studying, worth investigating, because it has impressive and extraordinary effects or qualities. Okay. All right. So the use of the term phenomenon, like I say, has a different effect from the use of the term controversy or topic. Okay, so I would like for you, so your choices are, you can pick an uncommon controversial issue, right, and explore the issue in a way that is going to help you to understand how it came to be an issue, right, and how it's going to, or how it has affected our society, right, in any significant ways. That's really the task at hand for you right now. And you can think big, or you can think small, you can think current, or you can look back in the past and explore, just kind of explore some things that were thought of as, controversial back then when a new idea is introduced. Anytime a new idea emerges, right, that seeks to challenge the status quo, or that seeks to challenge, certain traditions or values of a society, that new idea, you can bet, is going to be perceived as controversial. People are going to have different opinion about it, and those differences in opinions are what make an issue controversial and worth pursuing and debating. So, like I said, you can think big. You can think big within, the national landscape of social and political issues, or you can think small, or you can think, or you can look back through history, right? And if there's an idea that emerged throughout history, different ideas emerge all the time, right? And at the time of their emergence, they may have been controversial, right? If the ideas, like I say, are radical and challenge the way that people think, if the ideas have that kind of effect, then they're going to be controversial. Then, you know. So you can think of so you can, just brainstorm and generate different ideas by looking in all of those directions. Or you can simply observe a phenomenon like the textbook suggests. Think of a phenomenon that fascinates you, something that happens that really challenges your thinking, or that just amazes you because you just cannot conceive of how it comes to be, or just anything that you find impressive or remarkable. You can explore, right, in terms of how it came to be, or where it's going, things like that. Okay, so just so we're on the same page, all right, I have opened a blank Microsoft Word document here. Let me just format it real quick. All right, so just know that the purpose, the purpose of this essay is to explore, analyze, and explain. And I hope you all know what each one of these terms mean, because they're not interchangeable. They may be related, but they're not interchangeable, and and they certainly don't mean the same thing. Okay, to explore means what? To explore means to navigate an area or a subject and gain a general understanding of the subject. To analyze means to look closely, and to explain means to what? To offer a line of reasoning that is going to help an understanding that is going to advance, a specific or a kind of understanding of the subject. Okay, so the purpose of this essay for you all, the general purpose for you all, is to explore, analyze, and explain a phenomenon or controversial topic. To explore and analyze a phenomenon or controversial topic in order to explain the causes or effects, or both, of your fill in the blank. Okay, or both of the phenomena or controversial topic. Okay, all right. So like I said, your controversial topic can be a current controversial topic that dominates, national mainstream media or local media. or your controversial topic can be one that is more historical, right? If you think back to the literary analysis essay assignment that we just did, and one of the texts that you were supposed to read is The Story of an Hour, right? And many of you seem to understand that the story is best understood from a feminist perspective, and you in fact did employ the feminist perspective in your reading of that short story. Okay, so if you think back to the setting of the story, which many of you seem to be aware of, was set in the late 1800s. Okay, and the underlying theme, right, or one of the underlying themes of the short story is, of course, um, is the desire for freedom, right, which is very much feminist, which is very much feminist. And feminism, and the first wave of feminism, or feminism as a movement, emerged at around this time period, mid 1800s, I would say, to late 1800s, right? And it, of course, it advocated for, the liberation of women from this very, from society's patriarchal submission, from society's patriarchal domination, right? It sought to liberate women from the clutches of their male relatives, such as such as their husband, and it sought to just provide to seek, and it sought an alternative way of living and identifying a woman's role in society. Okay, and those ideas, those feminist ideas at the time when they first emerged, were received with heavy criticism, I'm sure, and they were thought of as being very controversial, right? As you can imagine, okay, because what they did was they sought to challenge traditional norms of society, traditional values of society, and society's view of men and woman, man and woman relationship, how men and women related to one another. So all of those things, right? So the ideas, I'm sure, were also thought of as dangerous because it had the potential to dismantle all that was valued and all that was thought of as traditional. These ideas also threatened to, subvert or dismantle, um, those very ideas that were thought to be the very foundation of society, which are very traditional ideas about, man and woman and relationship, and man's and woman's roles in their relationship to one another, and what's appropriate and what's not, conventions, decorum, and all of that. So when an idea like, the feminist, like the feminist view of the world, a feminist view of womanhood emerged and had the potential to be subversive to, the way, to people's belief, to traditional belief or traditional values, then it's going to be thought of as controversial, right? So you can explore that, why was the feminist movement, when it first emerged, thought of as being controversial. You can explore that, okay? Because today we tend to take for granted that feminism that feminist ideals or feminist ideals are a given. I mean, of course, women should be, viewed and treated as equal to men. Of course, women um, should should be paid the same as men, and of course, women are capable uh, of of doing the same things, and doing those same things just as well as men. Um, we took those ideas. We are now taking those ideas for granted as as truth. But back then in the late 1800s and even further back, these ideas were radical. These ideas were, extremely subversive, because that's not what people were thinking. That's just not the general view of womanhood. Women were supposed to be delicate of mind and body and spirit and intelligence.